right, we're back with an episode of the Scuttlebutt Tavern podcast.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually a cool little announcement that we get to do right at the beginning of the
It's Mother's Day.
That is cool.
All right. Sweet.
Hooray.
That wasn't the announcement?
No, but
Okay.
yes, I was born at one point.
There you go.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I mean, it might be, might not be. But the big announcement is we're actually going to start doing this podcast, and we're going to start doing a little bit shorter of episodes, so they're not going to be as long, but we're going to be posting one episode every week. So, and we're going to be alternating subjects, because we kind of came down to the conclusion that these podcasts that we do are pretty already niche-oriented as it is, and we just go down the rabbit hole on video games and MMA. So we're just going to do, you know, one episode about video games and another episode just alternate them, you know, from video games to MMA. So, I mean, it's
a keen separation.
Yeah.
It'll be really hard to deny this one, because I know there's those out there that love watching video game snippets and hearing about video game stuff. And then I know there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to hear what's up on the most current mixed martial arts activity.
That, and also a lot of people who do play video games also watch MMA. So there's a lot of crossover between the two. Now, I mean, it's not necessarily mutually, you know, combined with each other. You know, there's a lot of people who just want to hear the game stuff. And, you know, and that's another thing.
This way we make attempts to accommodate for all situations.
For all situations. Well, not everybody.
If you don't,
only two situations.
It's a kind of a three-piece. If you like both of these things, then perfect. If you only like just the video games or the MMA, then no longer you're going to have to try and search for that thing in a video.
No.
Separate.
It's going to be pretty obvious which one is which this episode's definitely going to be a game episode, because today I actually pulled out the VR headset. It's so amazing. And started playing a little bit of No Man's Sky. I didn't have much time to play it because I only had a couple hours.
Sure.
And so I didn't actually really get anything done, but I did get into a space fight, which is honestly like...
It's considerably easier than it was when they just introduced this VR system. Or the VR update, rather, their Beyond update. Because whenever they first introduced the Beyond update, I was having a hard time remaining in flight in a straight line.
Yeah.
Whenever I was in space. Now I'm finding it's pretty damn easy, and like I'm having fun just cruising around luxury style in space.
Oh yeah, me too. Like, and also just being able to cruise around the planet and being able to physically look over and not have to like turn the plane or anything like that.
It's really handy, especially when you're in a space fight, because if you pass a dude up and you want to know exactly how high or low he went, so you know how to, because whenever I'm turning in space, if someone goes back beyond me,
yeah,
I'd like to know whether or not I'm trying to curve up or down or perfectly to the side, because they're not going to stay in a straight line.
No.
So now if I watch them go, it's really easy for me to plan my trajectory. It's awesome.
It's great.
It's a very big deal.
It is a big deal. And you know, but I still have a little bit of an issue with my VR system to where it just doesn't track quite right. I don't think that has anything to do with the video game, because I noticed it's actually more, it happens across all of the video games I do on VR. I think it actually has to do with my camera itself.
Are you thinking, for instance, your issue with maybe your hands aren't lining up quite correctly?
Well, what'll
like
happen?
It starts to trail some, so like whenever you press start, you notice that like your panel's offset.
Well, yeah, it'll slowly start to like turn. Like,
here's a quick fix, because that was actually pissing me off too. And there's not actually like an update for that, because I think that if like while you do experience it in some games, the extremity is different in some games, and it's pretty hardcore in No Man's Sky. Sometimes I'll go immediately from facing square to being really off center, to where like I've got my hands right, but my right hand's in front of me and my left is like way over here.
yeah.
And then whenever I hop in my ship, it fucking fucks everything up.
Yeah.
So the best way to fix that, because I was just closing the application and opening it again, which is obnoxious as fuck.
Yeah.
Just turn off your headset, press the button to turn your headset off, and turn it back on, and that centers you again.
You know what? I've noticed I noticed just shaking the controllers will actually center it back.
That's what works for a lot of them. I do that all the time in drunken bar fights.
Yeah, as soon as I shake the controller, it'll be like, whoop, just back to normal. But I also don't necessarily have that problem when I hop into the spaceship. I only have that problem when I'm, actually using the gun, and, but I noticed that problem happens more if my hand's further away from the, from my own body. So when it's closer to my body, it doesn't actually happen that much. And I wonder if it has to do with the proximity to the headset itself, because of the lights on the front of the headset. And if I'm T-Rexing my arms, then that's it's like, oh, this is where it's supposed to be. And I actually have better movement with my hands like this, just pressed up against my body.
Well, I've noticed sometimes that works better too, but the only times I've ever really utilized that is whenever I notice that I'm already off, and instead of fixing shit, I just tuck my arms in to reduce the amount of frustration with the issue.
Yeah.
Because God damn it. Because I really hate that. Sometimes the other game that I don't like that about, sometimes it'll happen in Skyrim, but it's a little bit more obnoxious because your shit'll start to drift away.
Yeah.
It's come back. And so it's same deal, just turn off your headset, turn it back on and be fine. But I hate it.
Yeah. Well, in that, and also when you're trying to line up a shot and it's just and it's
creeping.
Yeah, creeping off to the side. And you're and you're doing this weird hand thing to where, it's just, you look like you have a mental handicap. Just running around, But, yeah, it's not so bad on my system to where I just necessarily, I just can't deal with it, sort of thing. It's just kind of a shake the controller and get back to it.
Yeah.
Now, I do notice you have to find the sweet spot on whenever you're flying your ship, because I was having to adjust the camera to where you I guess readjust where you're at, basically, to press and hold the start button to where it just does that thing. Whenever I do it, if I'm in my ship, I have to really kind of get up a little bit higher in my chair, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not too much.
I do the same thing, which I was going to address this in a little bit. The best thing for that, because what you can do, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you get in the ship, it blinks. Before it blinks, set yourself up, and then you don't have to hold the start button down. Because if you set yourself up, when it blinks in, it had registered that that's where you were seated.
Okay.
And so you sit back. And so that's kind of convenient, because anytime I hop in the ship, I'll just kind of lean forward for a second and then come back and then centered right where I need to be. Because I was getting sick in the times whenever I was kind of in a hurry, and it's I need to go get some store crystals or something like that, and I'll hop in and fuck with it for a second and piss me off. But combined with being able to turn off the headset to fix your alignment, and then just the little adjustment of being able to sit up in your seat. If those are the only two things I have to worry about, I feel like No Man's Sky is better served in VR.
It is. And it's something else I've noticed about the VR is the warp time is a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be the same amount, because whenever I play, regular No Man's Sky in the regular version, it just takes forever to warp somewhere. And it's just okay, well, I can just kind of set down the controller and go do something for a little bit while it's loading. And that's something I was really worried about coming back into playing it on the VR. If it's just going to sit there and warp past me, well, I'm not going to have anything to do other than stare at this pulsating light that's in front of me, and it can get kind of annoying. And honestly, it kind of gives me a little bit of the motion sickness whenever it's just woo woo. So it's I have to fucking focus on my dash and other things and look around, so that way it's I'm not focusing on into the center of this thing that's pulsating in my face. It makes me feel nauseous whenever I watch it.
It is kind of cool though that since you're in VR and you have the whole cockpit around you, you can kind of just focus on other shit and look around. It's cool. There's so much to look at, and it varies from ship to ship too.
Oh yeah, I just wish that the dash panel inside your ship was a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
So you would to be able to change your weapons and stuff, you would actually press a button.
They might implement something like that with an update, because I do notice that the dash already looks different than if you were using a controller.
Yeah.
Because you have to actually use the stick and the fucking shifter thingy. And I think that they don't necessarily have to go to too many links to make it more interactive than that, just because like your scan button would just kind of be a button on one of those maybe. But I do think that they should have more in the way of gauges and monitors. Like they should show you a little bit more as far as like what your fuels are at and what's close. I mean, I do like that they got their little panel there that shows you where like the planets and the space station are in the particular system that you're in. That's real cool.
That is pretty badass. But, you know, and also, it might almost get fixed in the next console. Whenever the PS5 comes out, they may actually, instead of keeping the old controllers that they have that they just repurposed, they may just go to like something kind of like the Quest design, to where you can actually move your fingers around, and inside the game you can actually move your fingers.
Yeah.
So when you go to grip something, you grip the controller, and because what's weird about it is you don't actually hold on to the controller while you're holding on to it. So you can move around and do thumb button stuffs, but like your hands are still like, you know, you still have free motion of your fingers.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to grab something, you just grip onto the controller, and that grabs whatever you're grabbing. But when you grab it, it's also interlacing each individual finger instead of like the whole hand. You know, with like the trigger that is on No Man's Sky. So what would be nice is with that sort of controller, you'd be able to actually point and just like actually press buttons. And I think it might be I don't know how accurate the Quest one is, like as far as like reading and where your hands are, or the I don't know. Does the what is it? The other VR system, not the Quest, and
like Vive,
something like that.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but yeah,
or like the Vibe or something. Yeah, I think it's like something like that.
Yeah,
but I think that one's actually hooked up to a computer, isn't it? I
thought that the Oculus was too, like, because it's powered by like Steam or whatever, and I know that like Steam is strict, like usually just PC stuff.
Yeah, but if you're, I don't know,
because I know it doesn't play on a console, so I don't think it's a standalone either. Because I would have bought it already. If it didn't require a computer or something, I'd have owned one because I need it. And if it didn't actually require a computer, we'd probably sell them at my work.
Right,
but
I don't know. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
But that sort of type of controller, in order to be able to grip stuff, I think that would actually make the game way more interactive.
Well, I mean, it'd probably be cooler, but I don't think that it's necessary. I think that like we're going to want that like for the PS5, because there are several games that are coming to the market that would just suck worse if they didn't have that. Sort of like these gladiator titles that I'm seeing, to where each individual finger makes a difference. You can actually like strangle and grab onto things. That's when it comes kind of like required.
Yeah.
Because second, I'm trying to like actually, because I mean, you're looking at the fact that like you're gripping onto a thing, not only with like maybe one or two fingers or something like that, something small. You go from being able to have to whole hand something to find something tiny and do one of these.
Yeah.
And that's killer. Because what if I'm doing something kind of intricate with a tiny thing? What if I'm trying to grab a pencil? I no longer need to have just whole hand grab action on that.
Yeah.
That'd be dumb. So it's kind of cool to have the option. And then even more too, you get a gun or something, want to be able to spin it in your hand. Might be able to do that now. And maybe I want to poke eyeballs or something like that. Some of these games are getting gross violent, and I've noticed that like having hands and individual finger grabbing shit is probably going to be funner in those games.
Well, yeah, because I mean the level of like actual interaction with the detail of the games that are going to be like, you're going to be able to like, I mean it's already surreal enough as it is playing games in a different, essentially it is a different reality.
Yeah, it's weird.
I know, because like once you come out of it, you're like, okay,
there's something I just can't get over in VR, and that's like bodily needs. Like I'll come out of VR and be like, oh God, I have to pee.
Yeah,
and just had no idea. Like like it gets to the point to where I'm about to pee before I can tell in VR. I'll take that thing off and be like, shit, I'm in a hurry. This is actually like a big deal. But like for some reason, whenever I'm in VR, like it doesn't correspond correctly because I'm in a different character's shoes. You know what I mean? So it's like he doesn't have to pee at all. So what's happening? What's this pee feeling outside my world?
Oh yeah. Or like whenever we were playing a drunken bar fight, and I went down to grab my body,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just headbutted a stool.
Ugh.
Like, oh yeah, there's things that are I'm actually in reality, but what I'm seeing isn't. What I'm doing is not in actual reality, but my physical body and the movements that I'm doing. There's objects around, and it's so weird because if you take here's another thing. What if you extrapolate even further than that in this stuff like Neuralink, to where they're fucking drilling a fucking inch hole in your head and sticking the device into your brain? Boop. Then you're talking about. Well, then you wouldn't actually need to move. It would be all just in here. It would all just be inside your head when you played. So you wouldn't actually need the movement of your body to actually play the game.
That's weird. I don't like that idea.
Yep.
That's too far.
That's some sci-fi shit.
I'm not going into any surgeries for this.
No.
They'd have to really, really figure some shit out.
Well, that, and also it's like where it's at right now. It's a very specific thing to where they attach the electrodes into the brain in a certain place in order to stimulate a certain area. So it would be like if you had let's say you had like brain damage and you had your brain couldn't store short-term memory. So you could plant the neural link in that specific spot and then attach it to the neurons by a robot. A robot will sit there and carefully attach the wires into your brain, and then it'll be able to stimulate that area to be able to provide you with short-term memory. So it's a very specific niche thing, and that's another thing he was talking about is basically if you were to be able to have like full access to like internet and all this crazy shit, like that, you would literally have to remove most of your skull and replace it with neural link
hardware for that.
Yeah,
that's no good.
I mean, you would look like fucking Darth Vader without the mask.
Right. No thanks. I don't know. The other thing is too is like once you get so deep into like the VR situation to where like it's in your head and you don't actually have to go for it or anything like that, that kind of blows for a few different reasons, because suddenly it's not as like feasible or like you can't share the experience. It'd be like online play.
Right.
That sucks. It wouldn't be exciting for anybody but you. And then like the other thing that blows too is like I think at this point in time, at least with certain titles, VR is actually kind of a healthy way to play games, because if it's not making you sick, it's getting you more active. And depending on what the game is, it's giving you a workout.
Yeah.
And like, that's important because there's a lot of people that maybe just wouldn't do it. There's a lot of games that are like, I feel like Creed VR is probably too hard for a small audience that would have played the game.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people that would play a boxing game are probably trying to throw punches, so it's probably not a big deal. But I have seen people really flat just fucking fail because you have to be able to kind of comprehend pugilism.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't translate well, and that's kind of funny to me. But the game makes you work and it makes you sweat, and it's actually pretty amazing. And you would lose all of that if it was all just in your head. You wouldn't be active anymore. It would be bad for your body. And even worse, like I think there's a small audience, probably, I don't know, I can't put a percentage on it, but like not tons of people are like myself to where I could just stick around in VR. I could fucking be in there for 6 hours stretch and it wouldn't bug me. I'm coming off it because my aim controller or my move controllers are dying. Yeah. And it's like that wouldn't be awesome for me because I would be able to stay into it way longer than is good. Because there's oftentimes, like, I'm not addicted to it or anything, but I kind of crave playing it. And there will be certain times when I just flat won't play something else because I'm too into this particular VR game right now. And that would really blow if you had that implant sort of thing, because at any point in time, you'd just be able to switch and fucking be lost for a dozen hours or some shit. And that's just no good. I'm also not looking for any of that.
No. Yeah. And you're right. There is actually something to actually moving your body around inside of a video game and actually having the
me using my limbs and muscles means the world to me. I am a cool controller.
Right. But what would be weird about the Neuralink is because you might even still be able to feel all that stuff even while being inside the video game and not moving it at all. So it might just be something to where when you upload yourself into the video game, you're still feeling all the stuff. And actually, you may end up feeling more.
Sure.
Like if you get shot. Like, I mean, how many people would like turn off the fucking, getting shot settings in the fucking Neuralink Call of Duty?
It'd probably be like a bar, like how intense is the actual like receptacle. It's like, that actually hurt too much.
But there'd be some people who fucking put it all the way up to like real life.
Oh yeah, only way to play, man.
They're playing.
Like, I'd probably go for that because that'd be the only way to like seal the deal on like a truly horrifying experience. When there's probably sort of a like risk reward factor, like, oh, this is gonna hurt,
right?
But
kind of like on the like whenever I plug my headphones into my phone, it always like. And like I just turn it up. There's a point to where they're like, you can turn it up past this, but it's gonna hurt your hearing. And it's like, of course it is.
Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and turn it on up. But I think that's something that you don't get in VR. In regular VR, you don't get that sort of like actual like feeling of things touching you, which is.
But I mean, like that. That's okay. Like I don't necessarily want them messing with my taste or smell either. So like
kind of like I think we talked about it on a different episode of like if you could smell what Kingdom Come actually smelled like.
Yeah, that would be no good.
You wouldn't want that.
No, see, so like it would be cool, not cool. It would like I think what it comes down to is it'd be like a more immersive experience, like the most realistic way to experience a thing. But it would probably, because like with me, I very seldomly have an issue with VR to where it's like, gotta tie my hair back, gotta go fucking wipe the lens down, gotta find my headphones, blah, blah, blah. It's a commitment. Not like a huge one, but I think it'd be more so in this case. Not necessarily because, I mean, you could just go.
Yeah.
But then it'd be like, man, am I really trying to like put my brain through that right now? And like, I don't tend to have that issue right now with VR. Every once in a while, there'll be like first getting into No Man's Sky took a minute because like being behind the wheel made it feel like a lot bigger of a task.
Yeah.
And I was starting over. So it was like, oh God. It's like, so it took me a really good while to actually get in, but then I did and it was hard to come out. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, I still haven't put in one of the giant sessions on No Man's Sky, which I really kind of want to, especially after playing it this time. I was like, you know what? This is actually really good.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I can still tell that there's still a lot of room for improvement on like as far as like the graphics and the rendering and what's all being rendered. But even as it stands now, it's actually a really beautiful game, but I also find that I do have a little bit of the problem with because I do get that like screen effect to where it almost looks like you're looking through like the screen mesh on a screen door.
Oh, I see.
And I do notice that kind of does kind of fuck with the actual rendering. I mean, even though the stuff is rendering, it kind of still has this little bit of a blur to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have noticed that as well. It actually hasn't been bugging me as bad though, just because I haven't been playing regular No Man's Sky at all.
Yeah.
Recently. It's been months and months and months. So like it hadn't been bugging me much since I just picked it up and that's what to expect. But what's actually been helping me out a lot is the way it looked before it got this most recent overhaul for like VR stuff, like to where it helped it out some. Because pre-updates after the Beyond update, when it was just the first VR installment, shit was so blurry, it was not okay. Like I couldn't even do it. So like I wasn't even fucking with it. And then now it's like, oh, this is very doable. This is half as bad. And the only thing I recall about this game in recent history is how blurry it was. So this is actually okay.
Yeah, I mean, it took, and also getting used to the controls going from the actual hand controller to the joysticks, there is a little bit of confusion. I mean, I am a little bit confused on it sometimes,
Oh, with your like wrist menus and shit.
Yeah, the first time I accessed
you can
my
actually
menu,
poke them. Your dude's finger touches them and opens them. It's
funny.
Yeah,
I mean, I noticed that.
That's cool.
But something else I had a hard time closing my menu. Like I couldn't figure out. I was like sitting there pressing buttons, and finally I pressed the trigger on the
left one.
I'm like, oh, well, there it is.
Boop.
But it took me a minute in order to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I think that's just to be expected because the layout of everything on the joysticks. I mean, I'm still kind of missing having some sort of stick in order to actually like maneuver yourself around, like a little toggle stick.
That's why I like the aim controller. It actually has 2 sticks on it. That's pretty sick. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to use that thing in No Man's Sky. I really wish Hello Games would make an update happen that would support the aim controller, because it has like less than 20 that it plays with anyway, making it kind of like, man, do I even want to buy this thing or not? But it's worth getting. You know, like for what it is and for the titles that it works on well, it's a must-have for sure. Because like I'm playing Farpoint, and Farpoint's pretty damn killer, and it's essential to use that move gun because I was playing it just analog controller in VR.
Yeah. And
it didn't used to have aim support. And that was okay, but it made you hold the analog controller kind of sideways, like it was a gun.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. It felt kind of weird. And now it's like way fixed. Now it's real good. And like now that I'm using the move control or the aim controller and I can actually run around with my sticks and stuff, it's very difficult. You'll have to try it the next time you come over, because I had our buddy try to play it, and he's just not good at shooters.
Yeah.
So he was having a very hard time with it because shit'll be all up on you, killing you immediately.
And you got to go from like one thing to the next.
Yeah, it's real fast paced. Shit gets up in your face. And you don't have a real ammo count. Like you have count on your secondary explosive things for your guns, like your grenades or your rockets that fly out.
Yeah.
But the actual ammo is infinite. You just have to be on top of reloading.
Yeah.
And he wasn't super getting the hang of that either, but that was something that took me a minute too, because there's so many enemies in that game. It wants you to square up with it and dump clip on it. And they're that much bigger than you. So like if you can hit him with one grenade on the way there and then put all the rounds of the shotgun in him within 10 feet on your way to him, then he's done. And so that's what you end up doing. And then you reload the thing, and reloading the shotgun's a single shell at a time situation, so it kind of takes a minute.
Oh, is it like something to where you have to press a button and just time it?
No, you press it, and the cartridges begin inserting on their own, but they only go one at a time.
Yeah.
And so if you interrupt say it just loaded 2 bullets in and you shoot them both, it's not going to begin to reload again. It's waiting on you.
Yeah.
So you have to tell it to reload, and it becomes kind of, oh, wow. But when you're actually aiming your gun and like swinging around and shit, it's really awesome because the iron sights work perfectly. So like if you put that thing up to your like shoulder and look down it, it's accurate as a motherfucker, to the point to where like you can hold your spot and just turn your torso and shoot next dude right in the face, you know?
Sweet.
And it's real responsive, and it's super good. You run around and like, I could tell that like, since I'm kind of slick with it and like I'm getting away with some shit, I said his name there. I didn't mean to, but like him.
We can beep that out.
There you go. And
well, I mean,
yeah.
We'll just kind of
fuzz it.
Well, I was just going to cut
our
the
mutual
audio.
buddy. Yeah, anonymous friend name here. No, but yeah, he and April was having a hard time with it too. She wouldn't, as below the she was doing better than he was actually, which is kind of funny. But
yeah.
I know that he's notorious for not wanting to play a shooter, so it was like, well, that's to be expected. But it makes for a frightening experience. You know, like it's almost as scary as Resident Evil 7 for a much different reason.
Right. Well, I mean, I kind of get it, because I feel the same way about the sort of Mortal Kombat fighting games. I have never been able to play those games. Like, it's because you have to memorize all these different combos, and I just, when I'm getting into it, I'm just like, oh, we're just trying to hit buttons, you know? So you have to have this huge list of, like, memorization going on, be like, okay, I gotta do up, down, left, right, you know? And it's just like,
yeah.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time doing memory sequences under a very fast-paced, pressured game like that. Now, like, something like the UFC game, to where the combos are the type of combos that you can just throw out there, you know, however you want, you know, whatever combo you do is whatever, is like what one strike is per one button. It's not like you get this specialty strike through a combination of, I mean, it does have like combinations, but it's not.
They're organically generated through like feasible motion.
Yeah, like to where the uppercut, you have to press like 2 buttons at once.
Well, and it takes it a step further though too, to where like if you did throw a sick hook, that back fist that comes off of your left side would fling so much faster after that.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, they really make linking things together worth it, and they make you think about it, and you can get away with some shit.
Right. Or like promote somebody one way in order to like throw a kick.
Yeah.
That's why it's somebody like Zabit or fucking Wonder Boy, all those like dudes that can fucking throw those crazy ass fucking kicks and shit. All the spinning shit.
Spinning shit. We doing spinning shit?
Oh, yeah.
But with fighting games like Street Fighter and Tekken and shit, the reason that those annoy the pants off me with their up, down, left, right fireball combos and shit,
Yeah.
it's because you look really dumb while you're doing it.
Yeah.
He's ducking and scooting, and you can tell he's trying to do something, but it looks like he's fucking having a video game seizure,
Yeah.
and it's retarded, and I just don't like it. And so since I've been playing Gundam Battle Assault lately, which is the Gundam variant of a Street Fighter title with real-time damage,
Yep.
it's super cool because some of the buttons, like while I'm trying to mash the special combo, it requires the press of triangle and circle together. And if you didn't do it correctly, triangle and circle together makes you duck out of the way. So I'm constantly fighting for that special move, not necessarily fighting for it, but if I miss it, I get out of the way of shots. And I'm super accidentally avoiding damage all the time that way. And it's like, man, what a bonus. They're tossing me a bone here.
Yeah.
If I'm going to sit here and mash this, I don't just look like a fucking idiot. I'm actually avoiding damage.
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, that is weird. I mean, that was another game that I thought that was pretty cool. But I mean, I was really into like the Gundam, especially like Gundam Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Gundam Wing was kind of my like, oh yeah. I think that other than like, I think Dragon Ball Z was really the first anime I got into, and then Gundam Wing was like pretty close second, but second following. But I mean, I've watched some of the other Gundams that have came on, and some of them get a little weird. I don't know if you've seen this. Have you watched any of the Gundam Orphans?
No, yeah, that iron-blooded orphans or whatever.
Yeah,
no, that's one of the newer ones. I haven't actually had a chance to see any of that.
You know, it's kind of it's not the best. The one thing I don't like about it is they're they all have no shirts on, so it's this constant like these like teenage like 16, 17-year-old dudes that are fucking just jacked, you know.
It's kind of funny because all the other series are all like Twiggy.
Yeah, well, the thing is they have these implants into the spine that connect into the mobile suit, and it makes it to where they can control it faster and better.
Yeah, see, that starts to sound a lot like G Gundam because they did the whole thing where they put like a latex fucking glove on your body.
Yeah.
And it's a motion capture thing, and so you're able to sit there and like kung fu fight with your fucking Gundam, and it started to get really stupid.
I mean, the thing is like they're walking around normally without having like with like a t-shirt and regular like in their implants are sticking out. Why don't you just hop in and just plug in like that? It's already exposed. Why you gotta fucking get naked? You know?
Because it's more fantastical.
Yeah, apparently. But I mean, that's kind of like my like sort of like the first kind of thought about it. But it wasn't that bad as far as like its first like the first couple of episodes that I watched. I thought it was actually kind of like, okay, well, I see what you're going for. It's just like that was just kind of like that one hang up that I kind of had onto the whole episode. It's like, oh, come on, guys.
That is sort of obnoxious, especially with like the show's roots and kind of like where I'm a big fan of it is it's like militarized shit. Like I loved 8th MS Team.
Yeah.
Because it was a short run that showed like one actual military group in the middle of a particular operation. It wasn't fanciful. You know, it didn't have like some crazy main character that you're all super interested in or does outlandish shit or says one justice prevails.
Yeah.
You know, light and truth and justice and dark. Like that G Gundam Domo and Kashu is a douchebag in my opinion. But like this one was really serious. Damage was a big deal. They're paying attention to ammo on the things. They're getting captured by guerrilla enemies like on foot instead of being just always in a mobile suit. And it was really like gritty and realistic, and it kind of made you think, dang, this would suck if there were mobile suits in war.
Right.
This wouldn't be any good.
Right. And also then you got the exact opposite. I think it was like Mobile Suit Unicorn or something like that.
Yeah.
And dude, like at the end of it, it became this like flying rainbow mobile Gundam thing. And it's like
I had heard about that. I used to work with a gentleman that was as big a fan of Gundam.
But you know what? It's like the action figures that I bought when I was a kid. they're from that one. So
I see.
I was like, oh shit, I actually had these. Like I started recognizing the different mobile suits. I'm like, wait a minute, I bought that one.
Yeah, I picked up some from G Gundam and hate that show. That is not a good show. It's really stupid.
But like they knocked it out of the park with like
the toys.
The toys were fucking awesome. They knocked it out of the park. But the the 8th MS team and Gundam Wing, they just really just kind of knocked it out of the park. I mean, partially because even though the Gundams in Gundam Wing were overpowered, they would overpower pretty much just about everything. They were still susceptible to getting extremely damaged.
No, they did get really extremely damaged, and the combat was super intricate, and it was interesting stuff. Only thing I didn't really like too much about Gundam Wing was actually emphasized a bit in the movie Endless Waltz, and that's the fact that like these kids are piloting these mobile suits, and they kind of make it seem like, man, these are some badass pilots, but they are piloting individual badass special machines, specified specialist machines. Heavy Arms has got like the biggest, baddest like arsenal on a mobile suit.
Yeah.
Every single one of these motherfuckers in these Gundams are not only a Gundam, which used to be a big enough issue back in the day, but now they're fucking like through the roof, carrying like each one their own unique attributes that make them like impossible to match or train for. Suddenly your pilots look a little bit less badass.
Right, like fucking...
And they're children.
Yeah.
So it's like...
kind of like Hero's fucking mobile suit to where it's just like, oh yeah, this thing can just destroy a whole entire planet.
If it wasn't crazy enough, then you get Endless Waltz and his like buster cannon thing has a counterpart and he locks them together and like rail guns through shit with two hands.
Yeah.
That's a little much. And the only reason you're better at that point is because yours does that and theirs doesn't.
Right. Well, but I will say the introduction of Wing Gundam to where fucking what was his name? The Sandrock pilot.
Catra Rababa Winner.
Yeah. Whenever they first introduced the suit and he was the guy fucking piloting it and he was just going fucking nuts and destroying shit. It's like I think that was a really nice touch to it, to where it's like this thing is so powerful that it actually like causes you to go insane.
Nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also comes with being a child, not really a soldier. It's easy to get like...
And then you have the psychopath
mentally.
Fucking hero because he's a fucking nutbag and always trying to kill himself.
Suicidal. They're all kind of suicidal. Even in Endless Waltz, they're kind of like, all right, guys, here's the deal. We finished this last mission and we all kill ourselves. Like, good. Yeah, we're doing that. And they're all just like in agreements with it. And it's like, it's been nice talking to you, Sandrock, but I'm going to kill you too. And it's like, so now even they were talking about killing the mobile suits and stuff. And it's like, and then they don't.
Yeah.
And then they need it again. They're needed one more time and they come out and they meet the occasion and then they end up not killing themselves.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hero did at some point.
Yeah, he probably should.
He couldn't get away from it. He tried killing himself in the first episode.
Actually, yeah, he did. Whenever he fucking like, here we go, and fucking like just blows up his own Gundam.
Well, he blew the Gundam out, but then like Relina, like Peacecraft, locks eyes with him and he's like, oh shit. And he blows up this chest thing on himself and lands on his back. And gets up, and he's like, and like runs away. It's like, well, that didn't work.
It's like having one of those like suicide like capsules in your teeth, and you like break it, and you're like, oh, and you're like, oh, I'm not dead.
Yep.
All right, let's get out of here.
We're gonna run then. Let's escape if we can't just die.
Let's escape so
somebody
I can kill
made
myself
him
later.
A little too loyal. I think I got hold of somebody weird got a hold of that kid and they influenced him hard. Yeah, when he was a baby.
They put him in.
It's
MK
okay to
Ultra.
die for the mission.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
He was born in Russia.
For country and ire.
Yeah. That show was incredible though.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, and I wouldn't mind going back and watching that from front to back.
It's awesome. It's pretty long, but it's so good. Zex Marquis is like a really good bad guy. He's a good like
adult
replacement. Well, yeah, he's an adult, and he's a good replacement for Char, which was the main bad guy in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. They both they look the same. They have the same role. You can kind of wear kind of a similar helmet.
Actually, the one I actually would rather go back and watch is actually the 8th MS team. Because I only saw a few episodes. I didn't actually watch the whole entire thing.
Yeah, I own it. I can let you borrow it.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to borrow.
That's good.
But, yeah. But as far as and see, what was cool about the games is and especially when you get down to like something like Zeonic Front. Zeonic Front was fucking hard. That was another one of those games I kind of got into, but I really didn't understand like the tactics and stuff. I was just like trying to brute my way through it.
Tactics games are worth a second look. Go back and check them out. Like, I've just been playing Final Fantasy Tactics lately, and it's rocking my world. There for a minute, I was having a really hard time not just playing that in No Man's Sky. It was it's good. And I actually got stuck recently in Tactics, and it's not like I'm stuck, but I get butthurt over losing my most important characters, and I'm not about to do that. Certain characters in this game, just depending on what job they've acquired, it took me just working on that particular character. For instance, if you wanted to be like a ninja or a samurai, I might be kind of off on this. You have to be a knight for a certain level, a monk for a certain level, a mage for a certain level, and then like fucking a thief or something really stupid that you don't want to be for like 3 whole levels too.
Yeah.
The reason that's obnoxious is that's 3 branches. You have to be a knight to be a monk, you got to backtrack, and you got to be a chemist to be a mage, and then you got to backtrack, and then you got to be an archer to be a thief, and now you can be a samurai. And it's like, God damn it, if I lost that samurai in a fight, I would never continue.
Right.
I would fucking go right back every time. And that's kind of a hole in the game, in my opinion, because you shouldn't be so attached to your characters that like, because for me, if I lost my mage sort, there goes the team, because my one mage that's really great at it does a lot. He does time mage shit, black mage shit, and now he summons guys. So he'll summon Titan to the field and fucking punch 4 dudes in one go, and sometimes kills them all. And they keep going after him in this mission, so I can't have it.
Right. Yeah. That's another game I would like to actually go back. I mean, because we played a little bit of Front Mission 3, which is
like Gundam Tactics.
Yeah, which that's something that would even be a really cool game. There you go. Hey guys, you game people out there, make Gundam Tactics,
please.
Yeah, indie game. Just put it on PS4.
It would be best nowadays, because I think they've tried it in the past. There were some like Super Nintendo ports of Gundam titles that we never got. And they were kind of tactics-ish, but they didn't work good. And, this is pre-Final Fantasy Tactics, which kind of set the slate for, like, doing it right. And so now that we've got, like, large amounts of templates to use, they could really get it spot on.
Oh, yeah.
And the interest is still there. Gundam's not died or anything. It's still getting big...
Well, yeah. I mean, well,
props in the community.
It's still on it's on Netflix.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, they still make series.
Like, yeah, they're still, I mean, even though some of them are kind of newer aged,
hey,
I would say
that's going to happen.
They're instead of more realistic, they went to the more fantastical, which I think we already kind of pointed out a little bit earlier. But I think if they did come out with some sort of like tactics game, you could implement everything from decision making into the conversations to the exact build of your Gundam. And I think, like, especially throughout the whole game, you should have it to where you have to have certain builds for certain missions. So you have to be capable of doing certain things.
Right. It's like I'm up close and personal with like the Gof and 2 Zaku's. I better have a Gundam.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's like there's like DOP pilots and 1 Dom off in the distance coming after me. Gun cannons long range would probably be the best here, accompanied by Gun Tank? No, yeah, Gun Tank is the one that bow, bow.
Yeah, with the fucking treads.
Yeah, and then Gun Cannon's the one that had the shorter range ones on its shoulders because it ran around.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, those things obviously had better long range attacks, and so fighting from like an air, like keeping the personnel down, would be a key.
And you know what? And see, a game like that, you could almost do like 2 campaigns. One to where you campaign for the Gundams and one that you campaign against the Gundams.
That's good. They like to do that. They actually have done that in a few of those games. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was maybe Journey to Jaburo that perhaps let you play a short campaign as Char at the end, I think. And that was always very cool.
It's where you played against the Gundams?
Yeah, because you would even do some of the same missions. It'd just be in reverse. It's like White Base is coming through here with Gundam. Make sure they don't make it through. Meanwhile, as Gundam, it was like, try and take out Char Zaku because he's going to stop White Base from making it through.
It wasn't always harder to like actually stop the Gundams than it was to like actually play as the Gundams.
Yeah, true to the story, Gundam was an unstoppable beast. So like if he was on point and had computer behind him, it's very, very difficult to make that work. But if you were behind him, it was still kind of the same like boat. But like if it all came down to like in Journey to Jaburo anyway, it came down to kind of the big boys, you know, because Char was always a little bit too tough to deal with because he was super fast. But then when you're playing as Char, it was a bigger deal not getting hit. So like it translated well because it's like I need to get out of here. Gundam hits so much harder.
Right.
It's like that's not fair.
Well, another thing you could actually implement into there is almost like a risk factor. To where, like, you could actually pick between 3 or 4 different battles, and depending on which battle you picked, it would actually not necessarily influence the story, but it would, like, influence a certain type of ending.
Yeah,
yeah, so, like, you know, if you wanted, like, the best ending, you had to do certain battles and win certain battles. And if you wanted the absolute worst ending, you would, like, go through some other stuff.
Yeah, what would be kind of fun about that too is if they kind of took into consideration the actual story and how things went. Because there were several occasions in like Mobile Suit Gundam and stuff to where like Amuro and the team kind of dropped the ball because they're just like young and like nobody there was like in a commander position. Even like Ensign Bright wasn't an ensign when he first took the helm of like White Base. They were just like young ass whippersnappers trying to like get out of harm's way. And then they start getting guinea pigged a little bit. And like the Federation is noticing that like amateurs make more, you know, solid decisions on the fly sometimes than veterans because they're ground to a certain way of thinking.
Yeah.
So like, man, this is actually good data. So they kind of let them get into some shit on purpose so they can like get results and data. I'm like, God damn it, we're not guinea pigs. And he's like, well, but you're promoted to ensign. And he's like, oh, sick. Yeah. It's like he kind of didn't tell the team that they're being used as guinea pigs. But
and another thing is you could actually implement fights or battles to where you actually lose the battle in order to progress the storyline. So it's not like you're intentionally throwing it. You know, you have to beat a certain amount of people, and then you would lose the battle afterwards. Like essentially, like reinforcements would arrive, and then you just keep, you know, grinding it out. You know, as far as you can actually go. And it's one of those things where you could almost put like a flood of people to where it just keeps getting piled on top of you until you lose. And if you get past a certain point, then at that point, you know, that's like achieving like gold standard. But you still end up losing the battle ultimately. Like
you mean like like it's something you just can't win?
You can't win.
And they just like monitor your results?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
like something like
that would be okay. Like I would almost put it on like a timer or something though, to where like you have to exist for so long before maybe just like falling back, maybe giving your team time to like fully arm Gundam because he doesn't come assembled all the time.
Yeah.
Because like when they bring Gundam to the field, he has to piece together. He doesn't, unless he comes straight off of White Base, he's not ever in one piece.
Yeah.
Like, so if he's being transported, they drop him, and like some way halfway through the series, they like implement like a mid-air assembly because it took way too long. And so it was kind of interesting to see that was like an issue. And you could just base missions off of that. Oh shit, Gundam's not ready to rock, you know, let's fucking hold out for X amount of time. And that'd be kind of cool. The other cool thing about it is too, is like you'd have the option of noticing that like since these were amateurs and young kids, they did make quite a few mistakes in the show. And so like watching the show and noticing how shit went, you might see a battle come up and go, they fucked up by deploying these first and not this. Let's capitalize on what we saw happen in the show.
Right. Well, actually, that's a really good point to actually make. Is you could actually take like the actual character. Like, okay, we're going to deploy 3 people here, 3 people here, and 3 people, you know, over here. Or you can be like, we want the majority of people over here in order to be able to flank, and to have a couple people over here in order to draw fire. So this is the main battleground, and we're going to have people come over here. So basically, this is going to draw them over here, and then we're going to flank this way. So I think if you were to like make a really good Gundam Tactics game, I think you do want to be able to implement like troop placement at the beginning of the battle,
just like in Zeonic Front.
Yeah,
that was a big deal. Sometimes it was all about where I ended up at the first part, because sometimes I figured out it's like, fuck, that was a mistake. putting myself right here for the thing I'm trying to do. This might have worked for somebody else, but my strategy is going to fall apart right now.
Yeah.
I got to start this from a different spot.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you'd be like, I'm going to jump in there and bust shit up. And then you'd be like, cut. Oh, well, from this angle, they see me coming from quite a ways away. And I'm not coming with the range techniques to accommodate that. I'm getting lit up before I even get there.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of options you can do with a strategy game like that. I mean, there's a ton of different things that you could do, especially when you have that sort of like move-based like strategy game to where you're like, oh, well, I can move 6 spaces with the type of legs that I have. And maybe if I switch over to like a tread, I could actually move a little bit further on flat ground, but maybe not on rocky ground to where I need like some sort of jetpack.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those games, it's all about like what you got to... Even Final Fantasy Tactics, actually. Like if you have battle boots, it'll like just let you move an extra square.
Yeah.
And that's pretty sick. If you're a Lancer, moving up the side of something is part of their MO, and that's half the reason why to bring them to the field at all. And it gets pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. Well, that seems about like the time for this here podcast. And you know what? See, you guys can come follow us at the Scuttlebutt _tavern _podcast on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You can come there and you can follow us there. We post stuff about MMA and games. It's usually just MMA and games.
Yeah, you might see some handmade snippets from video games. You might see some pretty cool shit. Might check those out.
And you should check those out. You should come over there and just have some fun. Maybe comment a little. Maybe even, guess what? Share this video with your friends. You should. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Because it's fun. It's fun to do things like video games and fighting and MMA and shit. So, that is fucking what we're all about, is MMA and video games. It's fucking fun.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Well, you guys have a great night, and, shit, we'll see you next time.
Bye.